What's up, world? Welcome to a new episode of the BrandonJaneauShow. As you already know, I am Brandon Janeau. And as you also know, I am a brand ambassador for Urban Boulevard. BLVD.US is the website. You go there, you find anything. School is around the corner. You find anything, you buy it. Use the code Brandon.30 for 30% off. That's Brandon.30 for 30% off of your purchase. Hit that up and do it. And shout out to you guys, Urban Boulevard. Shout out to y'all. And let's get into it. Okay, so welcome to a new episode, really, of the Brandon News Show. But it is a new series, of course. Like always, I've been doing these new series for my podcast, particularly, and I'm branching them off and doing other things. So this particular episode, welcome to the new series, Wrestling Life. I haven't said that yet because, you know, I haven't really named it right. So this is Brandon Janeau Show, Wrestling Life. I'm going to be talking about wrestling pretty much on this particular series from our Brandon Janeau Show. I've been doing a couple of those episodes. I just dropped one, this week. Got one coming out tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. It's called SummerSlam was Raw. So kind of explains. Talked about all of the SummerSlam matches. Of course, my experience going to Monday Night Raw last Monday. That was pretty dope. So go listen to that tomorrow on podcast platforms everywhere, and of course my YouTube channel, Brandon Janeau Show. I don't do this a lot, also follow me on Instagram, Brandon Janeau Show. I forget to say social media pages and shit, because I'm just like, look at the sign. You can just follow me there. But social media, TikTok, uh, Instagram, Facebook, go Brandon Janeau Show is the entire thing. So go there, man. Follow me on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, Brand Janeau Show. Um, of course, the real thing, follow me on YouTube and YouTube channel, Brandon Janeau Show. This is one of the episodes, one of the series, Wrestling Life. Got another couple of series on there. I got Brandon Janeau Show, Life in Times with Music. Another success. I did an interview, and that's coming out next week as well. I got four podcast episodes dropping next week. One of those is an interview that I did with an amazing artist from my Family Cultural TV podcast. Set that one up, so shout out to you guys. And of course, like always, I got a solo episode, just me talking. So I hope you guys enjoy that as well. But let's get into today's episode of Wrestling Life. Oh, I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry. People don't watch these videos anyway. But anyway, people don't watch these videos. I can do whatever I want. Anyway, Wrestling Life. So if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock lately, Vince McMahon is retired from WWE, which means wrestling's actually good again. WWE is actually really, really good again. Thank the Lord. Because Triple H is the head of creative, and and Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan, not Tony Khan. Nick Khan is now the heads of the company, pretty much on the business side. But Triple H is controlling the wrestling in the ring side, the creative side, the motherfucking reason why we actually watch the fucking company side. Sorry, I just had to say it like that because that's how I feel inside. Get it? Anyway, anyway, Triple H is now the COO, literally, of head of creative of the WWE. I'm gonna get a buzzer like every time I have to say that, and I'm gonna get a buzzer, and I'm gonna hit it, and it's just gonna be a big ass noise, and yeah, and it's going down. But but it is a great day going on in WWE right now because a lot of great things are starting to happen. One thing in particular are signings, and particularly what their signings going to be. A lot of released WWE superstars are coming back that technically were, you know, let's be real, was just mismanaged when they were first run. And let's get into that particularly. So last night on Friday Night SmackDown, Karrion Kross came back, who I thought would have returned back to WWE eventually because of this Triple H now making being the head of this new regime. I thought Karrion Cross would come back, and boy, did he come back last night. He is officially back in the biggest way possible, and they kind of brought him back in the way they kind of did him with the first time he was at when he was in NXT, where he was such a unknown. He had a dark side to him, a dark meaner, a dark persona to him. That I remember the first time I saw him on NXT, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this?" And he just whooped ass and took names. Like that was just his shit. And he goes to the WWE main roster. They make him lose to Jeff Hardy when he's literally the NXT champion. And by the way, that was his first loss ever in WWE, NXT, or the main roster. His first night on WWE, he lost to Jeff Hardy. This man is undefeated in NXT, and he's a champion of your brand, of that brand, and you literally made him lose to Jeff Hardy. Now listen, Jeff Hardy's a fucking legend. Jeff Hardy is one of the greatest to ever do it. But that's how you do him? Like, okay. And then he finally goes to the main roster and you take away his wife and make him be like some dominatrix fucking dude. Like, the fuck is this? Like, it just never fit. And I understood why he left. And I would have left too because clearly they didn't have a vision for you. And I don't know really I don't know if Vince and Triple H really were at that time in their relationship because Triple H loved Karrion Cross as the guy in NXT. And then when he goes to the main roster, Vince McMahon just treated him like, oh, you're just a Triple H guy. And nobody gives a fuck about you here. And I think that was the problem with him being in WWE opposed to being in NXT when he was the fucking man. He was literally like the big fish in a really big pond, a pretty good pond. But then he goes to WWE and he's like this fucking guppy in creative mindset. It just didn't work. So now that he's back and he came back last night with his wife, thought that shit was incredible. And when the song comes on, Roman Reigns is standing in the ring, Drew McIntyre is walking to the ring, and the song comes on, and everybody's looking like, what the fuck is that? And Roman's like, yo, what the fuck is that? And he just pops up and beats the shit out of Drew to the point where you look at him and you're like, oh wow, this is what we wanted the first time he was here. That dominant NXT champion that just when you got in the ring with him, you literally had to be on your shit, and that still probably wasn't enough because he was just whooping ass in NXT, and he killed it last night. And he's back, and his wife does the clock and flips the fucking hourglass over and tell Roman, tick tock, tick tock, it's going down. And I remember when he did that to Keith Lee. It was the first time him and Keith Lee first met up, and he did that same shit. He put the clock, flipped it, tick tock. And if you know anything, he beat Keith Lee. Keith Lee at that time was literally the hottest fucking attraction in NXT, and he beat him. This is the man, Keith Lee, who literally beat Adam Cole. He beat Adam Cole, who at that time was the shit for NXT, and he beat him in a double championship match. Took the titles, gave up the North American, became the NXT champion, and I think, matter of fact, that might have been his first ever title defense. Damn, if I should think about it, yeah, that might have been his first title defense. Yeah, Keith Lee's first title defense was against Karrion Cross, and he lost. He lost the title to Karrion Cross. Damn. Yup. Shit. That's crazy. Wow. That's crazy. But yeah, Keith Lee lost his title to Karrion Cross, his first title defense. Karrion Cross beat him, took the title. I think he dislocated his shoulder in the match, and he couldn't continue as champion. Came back and then he won the title again. He came back, beat Finn Balor, took the title again. So it's just like that's how crazy this is. And I think that is the thing that I look at with this new regime of WWE because that is a Triple H guy. In the first run, you saw how NXT's talent was getting kind of thrown to the side. Um, and I think now with Triple H running it, I think that a Karrion Cross coming back, and like I said earlier, like I said in a previous episode, Dakota Kai coming back, Io Sky coming back. It's like, oh shit, like this is different. This is what a Triple H WWE looks like. A lot of the mid card maybe wouldn't even get the push talent is starting to now come back and get that push. Like last night, you see, uh, Shinsuke Nakamura finally get his Intercontinental title match against Walter, which is going to be a pretty good match, I think. Like I said, Tommaso Ciampa is fighting Bobby Lashley Monday. Nakamura is fighting Walter Friday night. I think Ricochet comes back in the picture eventually because that's a Triple H guy. I think you can see the makings of what's about to happen. But again, I think the thing about WWE that now has Triple H at the helm, a lot of people are going to start feeling some type of way, especially if all of these rumors are coming, starting to kind of seem like a little bit more sense now that Johnny Gargano, who left WWE because he saw how they were treating people from NXT to WWE, and somebody like a Johnny Gargano, who's a small guy that might not have gotten a run with Vince McMahon being at the helm, he's like, fuck that. I might as well just be a free agent and just chill. And I think that's an incredible thing for him to now be back in WWE. If he does, if a lot of people are saying he might return Monday night, I hope he does. That'd be pretty fucking interesting if he does. But this is what I've always said about every show I've done since this news has popped off that Triple H is going to be the now guy, is that Triple H is a wrestler. So he's going to push the company to wrestlers. He's not going to give a fuck about the entertainment value. And I think that's the problem with Vince. Vince always saw WWE as a sports entertainment company. So he's more so about the entertainment value than he was about a true fucking professional courtesy to the fans of put a real match on and let's see what the fuck happens. I'd rather cheer Fight Forever than for you to think I want to see motherfucking dance sketches in a wrestling perform. Like, no, I'm good. And I think that's the thing. I think that Triple H is now, and with that being said, with all of these returns, some people might be feeling some type of way about their spot being taken. And that's the biggest rumor coming in now is that there's a lot of people at the top that are a little bit of what's the word? With Vince McMahon, you kind of knew if you were at the top, you knew your shit. You knew you were already good. You didn't have to worry about anything. But now that Triple H is at the helm, and you're starting to see now the so-called mid-card opening match motherfuckers starting to kind of push up a little bit more now, it's like, uh-oh, my spot's about to get taken. And I don't think Triple H is going to push anybody particularly out the spot, but I do think Triple H is going to make your spot a little bit hotter and make you actually have to perform. And I think that's the beauty of it all, especially if he's bringing back people. If he's bringing back talent like Johnny Gargano, Karrion Cross, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, if he's already bringing those types of people back, and if these rumors continue to be more of a foreshadowing of what can happen, Bray Wyatt could be coming back. And if Bray Wyatt coming back, that's automatically a top spot that's already getting grabbed. Like that's already put it out. It's done. It's over. He's the main event. He's a main event talent. You know why? Because everybody's gonna remember what he did before he left, and when he got released and he came back now with that creative mind that he has and all the creativeness he can do, Bray Wyatt is gonna be the main event. He's going to get one of those titles, which brings me to where the top spot kind of resides right now. Roman Reigns. Now, Roman Reigns has been WWE champion since WrestleMania. He's been Universal champion since last year's, uh, not last year, damn, like 2 years ago. Damn, it's been like 2020. Yeah, 2020. So it's been almost 2 years since he's been the guy with the Universal title. And the rumor is that now that Karrion Cross is back, because like I said last night, he came back. The rumor is that he could be inserted into the triple threat match, or they break that match off and say, you know what, Roman, you fight Drew for the Universal title, and Karrion Cross will fight Roman for the WWE Championship, which would mean he would have two matches in one night, or maybe you do like you guys did Seth Rollins, where it was like a double championship match where he fought John Cena, lost the United States Championship, but then he fought Sting literally in the next match, which they can also draw a lot more eyes to that match if, let's say, Karrion Cross does get that shot, if Karrion Cross does get a title match, which is the conversation that a lot of people are saying that there could be finally a split of the titles where I think this makes more sense with a new Triple H regime because you don't want the title your main titles on one person, and that's a fucking problem because in a regime in a change of scenery, yeah, the same shit should work, but at the same time, you're changing for a reason, and I think that as much as Roman Reigns is the money guy right now, he is the ticket. You know, you go into a lot of these shows because and here's the thing to hopefully see Roman Reigns. But that's kind of the problem, and that's kind of like the dilemma that WWE's in when you have two title your main titles on one person. It's like now Roman is the only guy that has the title, so you really have no real reason to watch Raw. And Raw is supposed to be your flagship show, but it has no chain in it. Like it has no major title. And no matter how much you try to promote the US title, that's not the major title, man. And I think that that's the biggest problem right now with Raw. But that seems like it could be changing real soon. Like I've been saying, like I just said, it seems like it could be changing real soon because the way that everybody's saying is that USA went up to WWE and said, "Hey, listen, we don't have a main champion. We don't have a WWE. We don't have a Universal. So we need either Roman's going to now start appearing more on Raw, or you can just take the title off of Roman and give it to somebody else because we need that because they don't have one." And I think that's the main thing about WWE right now with this new change is that Triple H knows that. He's not going to keep having. This is the reason why they split in the beginning. Remember, if you know history of WWE, this is the reason why they split in the beginning. Remember when WWE went into the brand split, Raw and SmackDown? Brock Lesnar was supposed to be on both shows when he won the undisputed title. And then he said, "Now fuck that, I'll just be on SmackDown," which prompted Raw to have to go get a title, a major title, which brought back the World Heavyweight Championship. Well, guess what? That's kind of what the problem is right now. But the problem with that is Roman isn't technically supposed to just be on SmackDown. He's supposed to be on both shows, but he doesn't, and he isn't. So it's kind of a problem already in that sense. And I think Roman should drop one of the titles. Now I don't know which one. Now that should be up to him. But if I'm him, I'm probably dropping the WWE Championship because I just won the shit, and it's not really my main concern to keep it. And I get that shit back to Raw and let Raw figure it out. And I think also with a title on Raw, Raw could go into doing what they want to do, and that is beat a 3 hour long show. But that also gives Triple H more range to push the Finn Balor's, the Damian Priest's, the Tommaso Ciampa's. If you get Johnny Gargano back, if you could get Bray Wyatt back, if you could bring back certain people, that gives them more of an opportunity on Raw, which makes Raw now more appealing. And then you go to SmackDown, and now you got the man, the guy, the tribal chief on one show being the dominant one, and that makes more sense in that conversation. And if it does happen, I'm happy that WWE's figured Triple H somebody's figured that shit out because it is stupid to have the main titles on one person when that one person doesn't appear on both shows. It's just one show. He's on one show all the time. That's a problem. That's a problem already in a sense because technically Roman is supposed to just be on SmackDown. But when Vince made this dumbass idea to make both titles clash at WrestleMania and fucking make it a title for title match, he fucked himself. He put WWE in such a position because I think one, he always thought he'd be there. Two, he can always control it. And three, you got somebody that you can push always, and that's Roman. But when Roman's not making appearances on Raw, and that's supposed to be your flagship show, it kind of looks very fucking dumb now. And now that Triple H is there, hopefully Triple H understands that and gets that title off of Roman, one of those titles off of Roman, and say, all right, one of those titles go to Raw. The champion and the title go to Raw. And maybe because we are getting close to it, do you actually do official now a split, a brand split again, and say this is the draft? Because let's be real, the dumbest thing Vince has ever done is have a draft, but then have a wild card for people to just pop up anywhere when they feel like it. It's like that's the dumbest shit. Why the fuck did you have a draft? That makes no sense. Now that we actually would probably, if we do have a now, if the title does go to somebody else, October, perfect time to have a WWE draft where now the WWE champion is exclusively on Raw, the Universal title is exclusively on SmackDown, and then you fill out the rosters, which I think that makes way more sense. And you get rid of this dumbass wild card draw shit, draw five, six, sevens. Like we could just go straight to the brand split and like, all right, Raw, SmackDown, this is how we're gonna do this, like we did back in the day. We are Raw, y'all are SmackDown. And yeah, I think y'all should keep the pay per views the same. I think you should keep it as a together pay per view, but if you could split it, and let's say we get a lot more talent back in WWE, you can split it again. You can make it SmackDown has exclusive pay per views, Raw have exclusive pay per views. Let's see what happens. I think that'd be more intriguing to me personally as a wrestling fan. I think I would like that more because I think it'd be more like it made me feel back like I'm back in the ruthless aggression era. Like holy shit, like this is really like Raw versus SmackDown again. Like this makes fucking sense. And then if Triple H is running NXT again, which I think he's gonna give NXT to Road Dogg, not Shawn Michaels. I think Road Dogg goes back and runs NXT. And when they resign and bring him back into the fold, I think that if Road Dogg runs NXT, you know what you want out of NXT because Road Dogg has always been with Triple H when he was running NXT. So if you make NXT then back to a prominent a company again where you was really running that shit, Survivor Series can actually really be back to being Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. Now you got three brands and going against each other. That's more intriguing to me. I think that would make NXT way better. You know what I'm saying? But if this is true that the titles could be Roman could be losing one of the titles eventually, which I think he should, then WWE Championship should go to Raw. Let it be on Raw. That is supposed to be your main title, but the main title is on whoever makes the title hot. And I think if you give it to Karrion Cross, he goes to Raw. That's a different conversation because look at all the talent that's on Raw that doesn't get that push, that drive. And maybe you could re-energize that Finn Balor, Damian Karrion Cross rivalry from back in the day, where like I said, I've said this numerous times. If I was WWE, I'd get Finn Balor the fuck out of Judgment Day as quick as I can and really start making him a profitable superstar again because that dude can really go in the ring. You've seen him as the demon on NXT or you've seen him really in just matches. Dude really can fucking wrestle, man. And that's crazy that he has to waste his talent in a dumbass group like that. And I'm not saying that the two wrestlers that in the group with him are bad because Damian Priest is a motherfucking monster, and Rhea Ripley was literally deemed the face of the future of women wrestling, and she hasn't lived up to that because Vince doesn't know how to fucking manage her. Like, and by the way, Rhea Ripley is a Triple H girl, so I think she will get her fucking just due now in WWE. So it's kind of interesting to see how this all about to play out. Um, Speaking of that, like I said, signings, and speaking of women signings, there is a rumor that Monday night that they could actually bring back the women's tag team titles in the tag team tournament. I still don't think you have enough women to do a tag team tournament, but if this is kind of what it's leading to, and that is Sasha Banks and Naomi coming back to the company and taking the titles back, I could see why you would do a tournament. I can see it. I can see it. Or you just do like a big ass, battle royal and Sasha Banks and Naomi, pop up at the end and say, "Hey, you guys got to fight them really to get these titles." And they take the titles back, and now you got them in a whole other storyline with the titles, and that's an interesting thing because now these women think they won the tag team titles, but then you see Sasha and Naomi pop up, and you're like, "Oh fuck," like oh fuck. And I think that would be pretty cool, and that'd be pretty dope. I think that'd be a pretty dope situation in a sense. And I think that the thing about the returning of these superstars that is so intriguing with WWE is that WWE didn't have this a couple of months ago. Like shit, a month ago. Nobody was really intrigued to going back to WWE. If you actually hear a lot of these wrestlers that left the company, they weren't running back to WWE. They weren't like, yeah, I go. Like they're more like I go to AEW or Ring of Honor or like New Japan. Like I'm not going back to WWE because I just don't like how it's run. And again, this is Vince's doing. Vince fucked. himself into a position where the company wasn't really seeing the proper growth in the future because you kept pushing who you liked as the guys. And I think that's the problem with a company like that. Now that Triple A, and now I'm not gonna sit here and say Triple H is not pushing the people he liked because that's not what I'm about to say. But I think I'd rather see those people get pushed than people I've already seen at the top. How many times am I gonna see Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the fucking titles? Like I already know how this looks, plays out, and is. I don't need to see this shit 100 times more to know Roman's gonna probably be Brock. It'd be surprising if Brock wins now because Roman's more of your draw than Brock is. But I don't need to see them at every main event. When you have a major pay per view, you want to put them two together and make it a main event. It's like I don't need that shit. I didn't see that shit enough at WrestleMania to know what happens. I didn't see that shit enough now at SummerSlam to know what happens. I don't need to see it again. I'm good. When it when it comes to particularly, you know, the future of this company, I think that's the problem with Vince. Vince could just never see the future because he always had this idea in his head. And another thing about WWE right now that's kind of interesting is that if y'all haven't realized, Theory's not on TV like he used to be. Theory is the Money in a Bank briefcase holder. I haven't seen. I didn't see him at Monday Night Raw. They didn't feature Theory on Monday Night Raw. They didn't feature Theory last night on SmackDown. Theory's nowhere to be found. For somebody that holds the Money in the Bank briefcase, and yeah, you could probably say, well, he got his ass whooped at SummerSlam by Brock and Roman. Then yeah, okay, cool. But here's the thing: you're the Money in the Bank briefcase holder. I would assume you would be the first person to be ready to take a title from somebody. This is the one thing I've been saying. When Vince was pushing this kid, it made sense to have him on TV every day. Now that Triple H is there, Triple H didn't really have that much for Theory when he was in NXT. Like he used him, but he didn't use him like Vince used him. And that's the thing. Like he threw Theory in a fucking group with Johnny Gargano. Like he put him in the group the way, and it was like, dude, just figure some shit out. Like, but he didn't push Theory, and this is where this is kind of gonna get interesting because now that Theory is the briefcase holder, you're not getting that push like you got with Vince. Which brings me to the conversation of, does Theory drop the briefcase? Does he give the briefcase to somebody that actually Triple H sees actually being a real true title contender? Because like I've said numerous times, you gave him the Vince gave him the Money in the Bank briefcase. Now that Triple H is actually the one in charge. Sorry, y'all. Um, I was itching like a son bitch. Uh, because Vince is now no longer in charge, and this kid really isn't that type of guy. You don't push him like Triple H is not gonna probably push this kid like Vince was pushing this kid, which that means makes the Money in the Bank briefcase kind of non-existent in a sense because when you got the person that's got the Money in the Bank briefcase, but they're not really giving him TV time or anything like that. What the fuck is the point of having him with the Money in the Bank briefcase? Now, does he drop it to, like I said, Finn Balor? Does he drop it to Johnny Gargano? Does he drop it to somebody that could be coming back to the company? Or maybe even more so, just somebody that didn't get that push, get that opportunity. Like, does he lose it to somebody? Like, I see a lot of people that was pushed for Vince are not gonna get that push for Triple H. Like Madcap Moss and Theory and shit like that, they're not gonna get that push anymore. They're not about to get it. I can tell you that now. I can see it because you didn't get that push in NXT, and I know you're not gonna get the push now that Triple H is running WWE. You got pushed because Vince liked you, which means like, and I've heard people like Omos, who is a massive Vince guy because Vince loves big dudes. Omos was fighting in main event. That's the show before the show. Like it's like he didn't even get that. Like Ezekiel, I can see Ezekiel also losing a little bit of that interest because I could see Ezekiel just falling by the wayside in a couple months. There's a lot of people that's gonna be falling by the wayside, but I can see a Kevin Owens pop up and be very Kevin Owens. I can see Finn taking off. I can see Damian. I can see Rhea. I can if the Judgment Day does stay together. That's the only way it stays together is because they are kind of Triple H guys all together. And it kind of does, well, it would make sense if you do push them all together. But I personally just feel like when they were under Vince, their careers floundered. They didn't have a good success rate. But now that Triple H is there, he knows how to run each one's careers solo wise. So do you keep them together because it makes no sense? Because this is what Ed said. Ed said, I decided to bring in a lot of these young guys that just didn't have a career at the time. They really wasn't having a singles push like they were thinking about it. And I decided to bring them in. And that makes sense because that's kind of true. And I think that that's going forward. Going forward, I could see a lot more of that. I could see a lot more of the superstars that Vince didn't see as talent commodities because they were short or they just weren't his type of wrestler get pushed. Like Tommaso Ciampa just got pushed. Shinsuke is getting pushed now. Shinsuke was kind of getting pushed, but he just never could get that push. And it's people like that, man. I'm looking at this right now and I'm saying to myself, man, if WWE really does take off with Triple H, it's a very interesting situation. There's only two things that really made it take off. Is the fact that he pushed a lot of people that we all knew if you really watched WWE, if you really was a fan of NXT when he was the guy, he's gonna push a lot of those superstars to the forefront. And if that's the case, you're about to get real classic matches in a WWE setting, like real matches in WWE settings. Like it's ooh, okay, this is different. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, if you're a top superstar like Roman Reigns, you should be a little bit afraid. You should be a little bit worried. If you're Theory again, Theory should drop the briefcase. Like it makes no sense to have it on him if you're not gonna probably feature him like talking about it now. Like when Vince was the guy, yeah, that made sense to have Theory with the briefcase because he saw something in Theory. I don't think Triple H sees what Vince saw in Theory because Triple H had Theory. Theory literally, people forget that Theory is a part of the fucking WWE main roster during the pandemic. Like he was literally with Seth Rollins during the pandemic, and literally Seth Rollins, and literally in a week, like Theory went with Seth Rollins, and then they put Murphy in the group with AOP, and then he just fell by the wayside. Nobody heard anything about Theory. Nobody. Theory just went right back to NXT. Nobody even talked about it. It was like a week later. He was not even in the fucking. He wasn't even on the main roster. He was back in NXT. That's when he was 22 years old. You telling me at 22, you think at 24, 2 years later, you think he's actually grown as a? No, I think he's gonna drop the briefcase. I think they're gonna give it to somebody. I can see Dolph. I can see a lot of people take the briefcase for Theory because it's like now that Theory doesn't have the Vince McMahon protection, he does seem irrelevant. It seems irrelevant to have a briefcase on this motherfucker, and you know he's not gonna beat any of these main guys. See, with Vince protecting him, he could beat these main guys because it made sense to Vince. But now that Vince is not there, it doesn't make any sense to have Theory with a briefcase, now does it? And still, here's the thing: the craziest thing about all of this is you got a lot of AEW people that's looking at WWE right now. And they're kind of like, yo, like I might go to WWE in 2 years because a lot of these dudes' contracts are coming up in 2024. MJF, Aleister Black, who's Malachi Black, and you know you got Andrade, who's in AEW, but he's said in 2024 his contract expires. WWE could corner the market again in 2 years. And then AEW would be flex for talent and be like, oh shit, what do we do now? And that's a very interesting thing. I think they let them have the Daniel Bryansons and all them, but the Young Bucks and all them, Cody Rhodes is left. So if the Young Bucks says, "Yo, I want out. I'd rather go to WWE," and the way it's looking right now with the undisputed elite, which it don't make any sense, but anyway, but all of this talent could go right back to WWE because they loved how Triple H worked their characters, and I think that's a really scary thing for a company like AEW who's already floundering in certain situations because you're trying to make it realistic, but then you're starting to realize that's the problem because you're making it too realistic because a lot of your characters are like, yo, this shit makes no sense. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what are we doing this week? And it's starting to get to that point. With Triple H running WWE, and the next review, like I said, is Clash at the Castle. Liv Morgan is now fighting Shayna Baszler, who's another NXT Triple H girl. She was the main champion NXT. Now she's getting her shot at Liv Morgan, which if I'm Liv and she's starting to kind of get the crowd to turn on her a little bit, where that was the one thing about Liv is like you're a face champion. But if Shayna Baszler takes the title off of her, I wouldn't be mad. I love Liv. I think Liv's a great, you know, wrestler, but is a really good wrestler. But I don't think she should now in this era where it's like she fought so hard to get it. Now you're hearing the crowd kind of like turn on her. It's like, oh, that's not good because that's the one thing that kept her so hot in the last couple of years. It's like that the crowd always loved it, thought she was just getting looked over. Now that she's been champion for like a month or two, the crowd's like, okay, there's something off with this. So I don't know. Do you drop the title and give it to Shayna Baszler? Sasha Banks and Naomi come back. Does that make the WWE Women's Division more of an appealing look now? And like I've always said, and also speaking of titles being taken away, I think the Usos should keep the two titles, but I think you should take the it, undisputed tag team champions away too. I think you should just make it one big title, one title, and tell them because unlike Roman, they are all on both shows. They do fight on both shows. That's the one thing about Roman that he doesn't do, but they do. They fight on every show, which makes it kind of like I said, if you could get more tag teams to come in, then it's a different conversation. But the fact that you don't really have that many tag teams in the men's division, yeah, I think you should have one tag team champion going on both shows. I think it makes more sense. It makes more sense. Um, at the end of the day, man, this new era of WWE is going to be interesting. I think Triple H being um, the head of this creative move movement is going to be pretty damn awesome. He's already made two moves that a lot of people love to death. Three, actually, if you really want to be honest. But if he could re-sign more people and bring in more people, man, WWE is going to get crazy attraction because now you're bringing in people we know and we already loved and already had some type of respect for. And I think that's gonna be this is gonna be an interesting ride for the next couple months to see how this all plays out. And then you still got Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and all these other people coming back from injury, and all that could be in a mixture. It's whew, man, it's gonna be interesting. But anyway, man, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Brand New. Peace.